Headwaters Science Center in beautiful downtown Bemidji. And it's 3:30 again. We've got a STEM show for you. And we're going to be messing around literally, with magnetism. Now, a few weeks ago, I was doing one of these STEM shows, and I thought it would be kind of fun if I just try to slap together an electric motor. And I had the idea that, well, we need a rotor that's an electromagnet. And I was going to try to do it with a field that's made of electromagnets and powered all by the same battery. And it didn't work. It didn't work at all. Total failure. But that didn't matter, because we'd like to emphasize at the Science Center that science is about not getting the right answer all the time. Science is about experimenting and learning. And it's not so much a way of, science doesn't tell you all the answers. Science is a method for trying to find out the truth. So that's what I've been doing since then. And the frustrating thing about it, working with that little model electric motor I was making, is that I had it working. I found out a number of things about it. I found out that probably the electromagnets I was trying to use for a field were not strong enough. I found out that there's a good reason why most commercial electric motors out there use permanent magnets for a field. And I'm using the term field, and maybe some of you don't know what I'm talking about, but that's okay, doesn't matter. What the whole point is that I learned a lot from doing that. I learned that the method I was trying probably wasn't going to be effective, so I tried something different. And I learned that, well, maybe I don't have very good connections, so I tried something different. Maybe I learned that the wire I'm using isn't appropriate for that, so I tried something different. And through the whole process, I can look things up in a book, or look things up on the internet, and sometimes the explanations are pretty good, sometimes the explanations of those things aren't very good, sometimes they don't tell me everything I want to know. But when I'm working with it with my hands, and I'm looking at it in 3 dimensions, I'm trying different things, I learn a lot more. And it's frustrating that I didn't get the electric motor to work the way I wanted it to, but all of a sudden I got it working. It was spinning at a high rate of speed. It was great. I had some permanent magnets there, and I had some in the right position. It was spinning great. I thought, hey, I got it working. Then I went back and tried it again, and it didn't work. And now I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's different? What did I have right that time that I don't have right this time? Anyway, it's a process of experimentation, and I'm learning little things as I go along. And that's what I think is fascinating, one of the most fascinating things about science. And in the process, I've been contemplating magnetism, which is a scientific mystery. Scientists will tell you that they know a lot about magnetism. Oh! Well, maybe I hope you can hear me better now. Anyway, that's what I like about science. I'm learning a lot about magnetism and picking up little things about it. And you can, like I say, you can look up something online, you can read something, and it gives you the idea in a nice, concise little package. But then you find out, well, there's some subtleties involved in this that maybe, you don't anticipate, and maybe those little subtleties of things, different things you're doing or different conditions, make things a little bit different than you find them in the book or online. So we're just going to mess around with some magnets today. I've got a number of different magnets here. Fundamental thing about magnets is that they have 2 poles. Every magnet, no matter if it's an electromagnet or a permanent magnet, like these 2 permanent ring magnets, they have 2 poles. And they're related, because the Earth itself has magnetism. It's got a big magnetosphere surrounding it, and it has a north magnetic pole and a south magnetic pole. The 2 poles in all kinds of magnets are called the North Pole and the South Pole. And one way to figure out which side of your magnet is what pole is with a little compass. And I hope you can get this on camera adequately. For example, okay, here's a compass. Here's a little ring magnet. I'm going to bring this over here, and I find out that, well, this is the South Pole side. That's the North Pole side. South Pole, North Pole. Okay, so the North Pole side is up. I'm going to check this one and find out that Okay, that's the North Pole side. That's the South Pole side. The North Pole side is up here, and I've got the North Pole side here. I'm going to come out here. I can use the dowel. North Pole, like poles, repel. Got a little anti-gravity going on there. And that, oh, see this? Okay, you see this? The top magnet, the red one, is resting on a cushion of magnetism, repulsion between poles. Now if I turn it over so that the South Pole is approaching the North Pole of this magnet, they attract each other. That's a fundamental property of magnets, polarity. Now these, I'm not sure exactly what the composition of these are. I can't see it because they're painted. Some permanent magnets are stronger than others, and these are particularly strong.
Yeah, I saw those click together a second ago.
Yeah, okay, well, there we go. Okay. Now, let's check this out here. Don't want to let them snap together, I'll pinch my fingers. Okay, these two poles are repelling. I'm going to put this like this. And you can see if you got a stronger magnet, you get a stronger magnetic field, and you get a little more distance than you did with the others. Everybody see that? These are called neodymium magnets, and they're very, very strong. And you got to watch out because it's entirely possible for these things to pinch your fingers, and that would hurt. I've gotten blood blisters from them before. Now,
they come with a little washer to actually put between them.
They come with a little washer, a little plastic washer that it's not magnetic. This is an aluminum rod, aluminum dowel, and we're going to see, just, does it make a difference if you, that's obviously wood, it's a non-conductor, and does it make a difference if you put them on a conductor? And no, it doesn't. You get the same kind of cushioning, the same kind of repulsion you do with the wood dowel. This made me think of something. I'm going to put this way over here. I have a little meter here that the multimeter, and it can tell me if current's flowing. That's one thing it can tell me if a voltage has been established. I'm going to turn it to its lowest setting, and maybe we can demonstrate something here. And it's going to be hard to see, but I'll read it for you. So right now, I've got some little leads attached with alligator clips. The idea being, if I set it the way it's set right now, and I put this lead to one end of a conductor and that lead to the other end of a conductor, I can tell if there's a current running through it. Fundamental property, a mysterious property of magnetism, is that if a magnetic field moves around a conductor, or a conductor moves through a magnetic field, it produces a current. Oops. Come here. Get on there and stay there. So I'm going to move this and read. If we just put it on the aluminum rod, we get no reading at all. But I'm reading, as I move this, I can tell that the reading on the meter goes up. I've got, just sitting here, I've got 0 millivolts. If I move it, it goes up to 3, if I move it, it goes up to 3 or 4 millivolts. 3 or 4 tenths of a millivolt. Not very much current, but just from this, we are producing a little bit of a current. And I'm not having much luck with these alligator clips. Let's try this one more time. Yep, going up to about 4/10 of a millivolt. Very small current. Oh, that was 6/10 of a millivolt. Moved it that time. Whoop. Yep. Anyway, the point being, And that's a very crude but effective illustration that you move a magnetic field around a conductor, you produce an electric current, and that's what keeps the lights on. That's what's happening in all the power plants out there, except for solar power. You know, when you have a steam-powered power plant or hydroelectric power plant, you're moving magnetic fields through conductors, conductors through magnetic fields. That's producing the current that we use every day. Let's mess around. Oh, you know what? There are magnetic lines of force. The magnetic field around every magnet. Let's start there. Around every magnet, there's this magical, okay, I don't want to say magical because that's probably not appropriate for something involving science, but this mysterious field that you know, produces these magnetic effects, and it has a particular shape. I've got some iron powder here, iron filings, very fine iron filings, and iron, of course, is magnetic. And if I just sprinkle some on paper here, let's see, where have I got I got one of these magnets. This is a little bar magnet, and its polarity is from the flat, large surface. And this is the North Pole. That's the South Pole on this side. That isn't too important right now. All I'm going to do is set this on the table, and you might have to bring the camera closer, and if anybody else wants to come up a little closer to see this, may. But here I have these particles scattered randomly around here, and as I put this over the magnet, the particles are going to take the shape of the magnetic field. Like that. Have you done this before? You may have done this before. Done it in school, maybe? And one interesting thing is, as these magnetic lines form, there's a very, you know, intense concentration of magnetic lines of force there, and then you see this interesting empty zone around that. But if I agitate this, particles from the outside cross that empty zone, but it still maintains the empty zone. Now, I wonder if I pick this up, will it be strong enough? Will the attraction between the iron filings and the magnet be strong enough to support the weight of the magnet? And yes, it is. I wouldn't think so, but it definitely is. Let's try that with a neodymium magnet. See what kind of a... Oh, and this is kind of fun. They say, no, don't go away, stay with us. And they did stay with us. Now we got to clean that off. Ooh. And let's try that with one of these, and you'll see an even more. Wow, see an interesting effect. Yep, too much. That's not included. And you can see that as these particles move around, we can add a few more. The effects of that magnetic field go out quite a distance from the dimensions of the magnet. You can see effects way out here. It's taking shapes out that way. And again, if we move them in closer, they're attracted. They always seem to maintain that empty zone outside. And that one supports its own weight too.
So what if we put two magnets under the paper?
Let's try it. Well, for one thing, if we get these too close, of course, they're going to snap together. So let's see if we can do this without plugging up the magnet. Okay, whoop! Shoot. Alright, let's try it. Not as easy as it looks. Okay, now, here, let's place these two far enough apart that they don't snap together. but still close enough so we can see an effect. I'm just going to sprinkle it on. Well, we got individual zones here. Just scoot this over closer without having it snap. Well, now there's just pretty much like two magnets.
Yeah, I was expecting something a little bit more dramatic.
Well, I don't want to get them too close. We could add a little bit more. You got a big jar of it here. No, I don't see too much with it. No. It's fun. Here's a three-dimensional representation of it. See, here we've got some iron filings in this tube, and you get a little more of our idea of a three-dimensional effect. You can see it's got a definite curve to it with anchored on each end at the ends of the magnet. And you can see at the ends you've got this kind of lion's mane effect, and all of them, you see they're standing out, attracted to each other along the lines of magnetic fields of force. And you'll see those diagrams a lot when you go online or go in a book. You'll see diagrams of curved magnetic lines of force, and it's not just a diagram, it's real. It's a real, and I'm not sure if anyone quite knows exactly why magnetic lines of force take that shape. And it is kind of mysterious. I have, heard well-respected physicists, scientists in the field of electromagnetism that still speak of it as it's a mystery. They admit that they know a lot about them. They can measure magnetic fields, they can calculate their strengths, they can diagram them, say all kinds of things about them, but they're not quite sure what it is that they're dealing with. Here's a little fun effect. This thing is solidly in there. Get it out. This has another couple of neodymium magnets involved. This is a copper cylinder, and it's not magnetic, but an interesting thing happens. So here's the steel screw. It is definitely magnetic. But it's not a magnet itself. If I drop this through here, it falls as fast as you would expect it to fall. But let's try dropping a relatively weak magnet through it. A little bit slower. If we drop, I've got a couple more neodymium magnets in here. Well, see if I can grab this one.
Just kind of pull it over.
Picked up the screw. If I drop this through there, you'll notice a difference in the rate it falls. It's producing electromagnetic effects as the magnetic field from these falls through and falls past this very good conductor. If I have two of them together producing a stronger field, it takes even longer. And as I said, recently I've been messing around with electromagnets. And you can produce a magnetic field by simply passing a current around a conductor. So So I'm going to connect connect this to the positive end and connect this lead to the negative terminal of the battery. And right now we have no magnetic effect. Well, we have a little bit of magnetic effect currently. But let's see if we can get a stronger magnetic effect. Well, maybe we don't. Which is okay. Nope, we're not getting any. What's wrong here? Bad connection?
You got a puff of smoke really quick off the magnet.
Off the magnet? Oh, thank you. Let's set that over there and try maybe a different power source. Yeah. Let's try a 9-volt battery. And see if we get. No. See, that's the problem I've been having with electromagnets. Suddenly, they don't work. Could be I've got a bad connection. Let's see. This is a curved magnet. It's intended to be a curved magnet. Let's see if we get anything here. And it could very well be that I'm not connecting it very well. This should give us a current running through this coil and should produce a little bit of magnetism at least. And let's see if we got enough to attract this screw. No, not even to attract any filings.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Very weak magnetic field. Now, I was kind of using something like that. I've been switching things out and trying different things, trying to see if I could get a magnetic field strong enough to run a motor. Obviously not. Doesn't work. Let's see, did I have another one here? No, I guess not. Anyway, magnets are interesting, fascinating, mysterious. They do all kinds of things. They're responsible for all the current that runs through the wires that we use every day. If you have using a computer, it's wouldn't work without magnetism, without that current produced by magnets. And in the future, I'm going to figure out what's going wrong with these electromagnets, because I have had that work. I have like this one in particular. I've connected this one, quite simple electromagnet, and it's got enough magnetic power to pick up a paper clip or a screw or something like that, and to make a pattern of magnetic lines of force with iron filings. So I'm not sure if I have been, using these a lot, using these batteries a lot, and using that battery a lot. And maybe I should check these and see if I've just worn them down to nothing. Yeah. So anyway, magnets are something you can buy at a hardware store, or buy, you can get a hold of magnets pretty easily. And it's kind of fun to experiment with them. Now, if you're going to do that, of course, I probably should say never, ever, 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 use something that you plug into the wall to make your own electromagnet. This is a 6-volt lantern battery. Use one of those. Use a flashlight battery, a D-cell. Use something like this. And even something like that can get a little hot and could give you a shock or give you a burn. So be very careful with it. And maybe read up a little bit about it. Read up a little bit about making things like series circuits and parallel circuits, things like that. But it's a good introduction to the whole idea of electricity and electromagnetism.